Awesome. Welcome back to the Retention Edge podcast. I'm here with Chris from Linkify. Chris, thanks so much for doing this, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Eric. How's it going?
I'm great. How are you, man?
I'm all right. Yeah, not too bad. It's
Great.
just
Great.
the weather's turned here in England, so we are now no longer in heat wave territory. So it's a bit easier to sleep at night. The kids have gone back to school. All's good.
Do you guys have AC there,
Not
or
really. No. No.
Jesus? Oh my God. Yeah. No wonder everyone's always complaining.
Yeah, it's either wet, 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 which everyone moans about, and then when it is a nice, hot summer's day, no one's got air conditioning, so no one can sleep.
Makes complete sense. But anyways, Chris, obviously you run your own agency, I guess. We'll call it an SEO agency or PR SEO agency,
hmm
Linkify.io. Why don't you give everyone kind of a quick intro on yourself, what you do, how you kind of got to where you are, and we'll jump in from there.
Yeah, sure. So we're a digital PR link building agency. We started over half a decade ago. I was running a fish and chip shop about 15 years ago after university. And as I was working in that industry, I started to see that people were making like mad bank online. And I was working like 12 hours a day on my feet. I could see that the industry was perhaps in slight decline. So I started a small personal finance website, which got some traction and started making money, like $1,000 a month. And then I started to wanting to make more money. So I was looking at ways to do that, and links and getting good quality backlinks was something that was a proven way to improve visibility inside of Google. So I started doing that, and I was engaging with journalists in order to get myself quoted in big publications. And then I wanted to do a different type of link building and outsourced it to my now business partner, who he looked at my link profile and he said, well, you've got some like amazing links, New York Times, Forbes. Like, how did you get these links? And I said, oh, I've just been pitching the media. And he said, do you think you could do this for like some of my clients? And I said, yeah, I don't see why not. So we did that with a few test clients. They loved it. And we sort of blew up and grew from there. And that's what we're still doing today.
Awesome. And now you're working with all different types of clients in dozens of different industries. Obviously, this podcast, we're very focused on e-commerce. Uh, Tell me a little bit about like some of the best practices that you have for e-commerce clients, or even any success stories that you might have in that space.
Yeah, I think it's it's funny because I think people in the e-commerce space feel as though digital PR is not off bounds for them, but like a trickier thing to engage in. Um, and I suppose most e-commerce stores like the idea of like product PR, like if they can have their actual products appear in the media.
Right.
But really, it's just a simple shift in mindset, and all you need to do is think about the broad niche that you're operating in as an e-commerce, and then think about the expertise that you can associate with your business in order to forward face the media with those expertise to encourage being quoted and then being linked back to. So an easy example would be, say, an e-commerce that's selling vitamin supplements or weight loss products. Um, if you can have someone on your team that's got clear fitness credentials or health credentials, maybe they're a nutritionist, then that serves two purposes. One, it enhances the credibility of your e-commerce store by aligning those expertise and credentials with your website. And two, it sets you up to engage the media because it's a very media PR friendly topic. There's lots of journalists looking to quote experts. And if you provide good commentary, then the journalist will be more than happy to quote your expert and then link back to that e-commerce homepage website by way of attribution for the comments. So it's just a shift in mindset of how you can start this process, but it's 100% doable for lots and lots of e-commerce stores.
What are the practical ways that a brand or someone that works at one of these brands could go about doing that, right? Because obviously you have this wide open world with tens of thousands of publications just on health alone, and then you have to get in touch with these people individually, and then how do you get your how do you get that going from the start, and then how do you scale that past just getting one link every 2 weeks or something like that? Like, how do you build that up over time?
Yeah, good question. Well, one, scalability is difficult because it's earned media. But you don't have to proactively go and speak to every single publication that writes on the topic that you're in. There are platforms, aggregator platforms that exist that are a way to connect journalists with experts, and where journalists that are proactively searching for an expert, they will post these requests and you can go and see them and answer them. So the biggest sort of provider of these was a platform called HARO, Help a Reporter Out, which actually uh, ceased to exist and has since been bought back. And SOS, Source of Sources, both of these are free. So you can sign up, um, have your expert ready, whether or not that's you or someone from your team or somebody that you've hired to like produce content for your site that has those relevant credentials and expertise. And then you can scour these opportunities. I just mentioned Harrow SOS. There's also Qwoted, which is like a freemium style, so you get 5 free pitches per month, I think. You can follow some of the main journalists on social media. A lot of journalists will post their requests on social using hashtag journo request. And then there's paid places you can go as well, press plugs, response source. So on any given day, there could be hundreds of opportunities where you can see that it's a good fit for your expertise. And then you can just reply to the journalist, which is much better than the cold outbound, because
Mhm.
their inboxes are getting bombarded on an hourly basis with people coming up with like junk ideas for stories. Whereas these aggregator platforms, it's a journalist who is actively working on an article about a topic and they are looking for an expert to quote within that article.
And how, if I'm, I'm a health expert and I join onto one of those platforms, how do I stand out so that out of the 20 other people that are interested in getting their brand shouted out or their name out there, how do you stand out and make the odds shift in your favor so that you're the more likely one to get
Yeah,
picked?
great question. So start with the basics. Make sure you, first of all, have the credentials and qualifications, awards, and accolades that you need to have in order to answer the query. So don't be looking to answer health queries for your e-commerce vitamin store if you are the SEO manager or the social media manager. Like, the journalist is not going to quote you if you haven't got the relevant skills and credentials. So let's just assume for a minute that you do have the relevant skills and credentials. The next thing to do is make sure you visibly show those in a very easy way for the journalist to like one click verify. So you need to have visibility on the e-commerce website. It should be one click in the navigation about page. The about page should then clearly show the people behind the business, whether or not it's the owners, the founders, but then also the experts. So if that's expert reviewers, contributors, specifically the person that's going to be engaged in the media should be there, front and center, clearly visible. Picture, ideally more than one picture. Don't forget, we live in an age of AI where journalists are getting spammed to death with AI bots and AI images. So if you can have 2 or 3 images of the person, it gives that the journalist like instant trust that this is a real person. Make sure you have a really good bio that screams from the rooftops about those awards, qualifications, accolades, licensing numbers, all of that juicy good stuff. Make sure you're linking out to social profiles, so LinkedIn and any other social profiles you have. Really, really optimize that experience for the journalist to be able to quickly verify who you are. So let's say they receive 100 pitches from health experts. The first 5 they click on, they can't even see an about button on the e-commerce store. Let's say they get to yours, you're the 10th one, boom, about page. They can see who you are. Boom, LinkedIn. Okay, yeah, this person really is the expert they say they are. They are associated with the business that they say they are, and I can see their experience. They've got lots of connections and loads of recent activity. You're already 90% ahead of the competition. And then finally, do what the journalist asks. So if the journalist says, I'm looking for a health expert to give 3 tips, no more than a paragraph on how you can optimize vitamin uptake, something like that. Don't send them a PDF ebook. Send them 3 tips in a single paragraph. Like, do what they say,
Uh,
and make sure to be fast but thoughtful. So journalists, they're working quickly, they're on tight deadlines, but don't just send any old junk. Think about your answer, but get it in as quick as you can.
and so let's say, okay, I'm going to follow your best practices now. I believe in this strategy. How do I allocate my time accordingly to really balance like what the value of this one backlink is versus, the million other things that I have going on in my business, right?
Yeah.
Because I can go and spend like, 4 hours a day applying to 100 different posts and then trying to get in, and then maybe I get like 3 backlinks out of it or something like that, or whatever the situation is. But how do I actually like measure and quantify, okay, I'm investing my time correctly, right? Because maybe I do this and I'm like, okay, I get 1 backlink every like month or something like that, and probably doesn't provide any value. Whereas maybe I'm getting 3 a week, and maybe there is some value there. Like, and how do you kind of analyze and measure all of that?
Yeah, that's good. 3 a week, you'd be doing well. Is a long slog. But the way that we see it, especially for like an e-commerce store that has yet to win any authoritative backlinks, is that first basket that you get will make a difference. Not just algorithmically from an SEO perspective, but also from a large language model visibility perspective, and then also customer conversion perspective. If you've got that press badge on your homepage, somebody lands on your store, then maybe they're and ahhing whether they want to spend money with you, but they can see that you've got a featured in men's health, uh, fitness guide, 5healthline.com. They see
Mhm.
those 10 press badges on your homepage, you're going to have a much stronger customer trust signal, possibly a higher conversion rate on your products that you're selling. But
Yeah.
then also, obviously, you get that inherent SEO value of those tier 1 domains pointing to your homepage. In terms of allocation of time and resources, it's tricky, but a really good little hack that I can give you: allocate the same period of time per day, maybe an hour a day, half an hour a day. Maybe you want to just reply to one request per day, 20 minutes, 25 minutes, something like that. Do it at the same time each day. The sort of free emails from HARO and SOS, they come in at the same time each day, Monday to Friday. And then really, really hone in on the publications that you are going to give your time to respond to. So an easy trick to be able to determine which publications they are is find a competitor in your niche that has got a press badge on their homepage. Because in almost certainly they have won those homepage logos that they are so proudly displaying from this form of inbound digital PR link building. And if your competitors won links from those publications, it means you can definitely also win links from those publications. So you could scale down 1,000 opportunities to 5 or 6 of your absolute target domains, and those are the only ones that you're going to reply to once per day, let's say over a few months, until you land those 5 or 10 links that you really want to get.
And how should a brand know how much, like, let's say they wanted to hire you, or they wanted to hire, any agency or person to kind of manage this and handle it for them to an extent. How should they know like how much they should be paying for something like this? Like, how do they evaluate the ROI of whatever that investment might be?
Yeah, I mean, it is tricky, and obviously you can tell the real trade-off is for hiring an agency such as us is not having to sink that time and effort, because it is an exhaustive and timely process. And obviously we're completely optimized to do it and to do it well. But the actual being able to actually measure that is tricky, because there are so many positive benefits. Like paid ads, you just put an X amount in and you're just going to see what your return on ad spend is, and it's an easy
Mhm.
calculation. You scale up, you spend down. It's easy to see. But like, for example, I've had 6 calls booked already for my agency this week from ChatGPT. They've listed ChatGPT as the how did you hear about us? Where did you find us? And that's from building real authority and doing digital PR and authority building. That's what the large language models are noticing. So you get that as a benefit. You also, like I said, you get that inherent SEO value, but SEO is a timely thing as well. A link that you build today may not have real effect a few months down the line, coupled with your content and your on page and your technicals. So yeah, I would definitely recommend your audience to sort of try this on their own. And when they get that first link, that first like amazing piece of coverage, you also can shout about that to your customers. You can repurpose the content. There's so much you can do with it. And then when it becomes a question of like, I'm seeing the benefits, but I haven't got the time to do it, that's when you can then weigh up the cost advantage of outsourcing it.
a little bit earlier you mentioned like, this a lot of this might be changing to an extent because, people are creating AI profiles now and using AI pictures and doing all this stuff. How is AI impacting the ability for different businesses to, implement these strategies?
I think, like with everything, if you use AI properly, it makes stuff better, but it's really easy to not use it properly. So you're gonna hit the floor hard if you just go into ChatGPT and say, a journalist is asking for a health expert to give 3 tips on X, Y, and Z. Give me an answer. And then you copy and paste and send that to a journalist. Like, this will not work for you doing it like that. Whereas if you can utilize some of the amazing things that AI can do, tidying up dictation, for example, this is one of the things we do in agency. Dictation is a great way to maintain your natural linguistic tone, your personal idioms and turns of phrase. But it's quite a timely and laborious process to type all that down. Whereas it's much easier just to speak your thoughts into a dictation tool. It's going
Right.
to produce a huge block of text that sort of looks a mess, but you can easily ask one of these AI tools, ChatGPT, to like retain the true sense of the tone of voice of this text, but just tidy it up and improve the logic. You'll get a perfectly formatted piece of text that doesn't in any way smell of AI, because it's not. It's kept your original tone, and it's taken you what would have or could have taken you half an hour to hand type and craft this pitch. Has taken you 5 minutes to speak it and a couple of minutes to tidy it up in AI. So it's about using it correctly is the way that you can get a real edge.
Now, with the kind obviously a lot's changing now with since like you said, a lot of people are discovering you through ChatGPT or Gemini or what Perplexity, Claude, whatever the different AI method is, or even like the Google summaries at this point. Uh the like how is that new search method that people are using impacting the way that people should look at the setting up backlinks and getting PR and everything like that?
Yeah, I mean, for us, the sort of link building that we do, because it's tier 1 media, I think that is the only thing which you can do. Well, not the only thing you can do, but it's a brand building activity. So buying a guest post from a guest post farm and having that link point to your website, it's an SEO play. There is no other value in that outside of the what you hope will have a positive ROI on your SEO. Whereas if you are a supplement e-commerce store and you've just got your founder quoted and featured and linked from in menshealth.com, then that is really building a brand. It's sending trust and authority signals to that brand, as well as that link juice and the SEO value. And the more that we engage the media as brands, so don't forget, in order to do this sort of activity, you're having to put yourself out there, or put your experts are having to put themselves out there and engage the media. And then the potential to then exponentially do more with that, podcasts, stage speaking events, networking. It's the real first rung on that ladder. So we're seeing clients that have been doing this with us for years, really sort of the trajectory of the way that they're being perceived as real brands is quite extraordinary. And we know for a fact that what the large language models are going to have to do at some point is find a way to surface recommendations that they can 100% trust. We saw Google used links, but there was problems with that. The LLMs currently, they're showing you the sources, so you can see where they're getting the sources, the citations. But at some point they're going to have to. That can be gained. If it's some listicle on some guy's website that's prepared to take $500, if you say, "Look, can you pop me in that list?" Like, that's not going to last forever. And what we know that Google and LLMs can trust is clear, visible brands.
One of the big changes that even we're noticing with like the way LMs make recommendations is they rely very heavily on like communities and forums and different stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. Like at the end of the day, I'd say like almost like user generated content. So like Reddit is one of the biggest factors that ChatGPT will consider when it comes to any recommendations that it'll make. And you actually can kind of see it like when you put in what you want to search, it'll show like the red icon as an example when
Mhm.
it says like searching, right? So how is like the focus of where LLMs are focusing where they gather their information from impacting the way that you guys are setting up all this link building and everything?
Yeah, I mean, Reddit. It's like, it. I personally think it's going to become less. It's going to less and less utilize Reddit, as Reddit is a breeding ground to be manipulated and spammed. That's why I was mentioned. Like you just said, you can easily see the citation. It's saying Reddit. It's a thread that's not been locked down. Somebody, you can go in, you can use like a Redax account or a proxy and hammer that Reddit in order to put your business in there, and then you've manipulated the LLM. So it's like SEO, black hat SEO 20 years ago. So how long that will last, I don't know. But building a brand and having actual people talking about your brand organically within Reddit threads, the way that you do that is you have to build that brand. And digital PR and link building and authority building is the way to build a brand. And then the more that you build the brand, the more that people will organically talk about you in places that is user generated content. So but it is interesting that, I mean, you can manipulate it right now. So while it lasts, make hay with it while the sun shines. But how long it lasts, we'll see.
Yeah, that's a really good point, right? There's always like these little hacks that come with every new generation of
Mm.
different models or different technology or whatever it is. Um, exactly right. I guess look to finish off here. Any last tips you think you'd want to give any brand owners, or people at these individual brands that want to get either earned media or get these backlinks or anything like that that you think would be really important for them to know? Especially heading into, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and everything like that, where these things will become infinitely more valuable.
Mm. Just get started. Optimize, like I said, make sure you've got the right people forward facing to the media, and don't be afraid to sort of just start. But also, you have to take the knockbacks. Like, you won't get anything for a while. You sometimes get feedback from journalists, which you can roll back into your processes. And then my other piece of advice is to track this stuff as well. So have Google alerts. You can use Talkwalker alerts. Both of these are free. Track your brand name, your business name, the person that you're pitching as, and track this like ferociously, because journalists will forget to add a link and a simple, or they won't even tell you that they've quoted you. So that could just go completely unnoticed. Whereas if you're tracking this stuff and you see that, oh, my name's been included in a Men's Health article, you go in, oh, they haven't linked to me. Simple email to the journalist. Well, can you pop this link in? We win 40% of our links from tracking and follow-ups. So track what you do and don't let any of your efforts go wasted. And one more thing, I've got a free cheat sheet if you want to just get started to try and win your first big 5 links, linkify.io -cheat/sheet.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll link to that in the newsletter for sure. We'll throw it right under so people can access that. That's awesome.
Awesome.
Cool. Chris, man, thank you so much for doing this. Really appreciate it. Uh, tell people where they can kind of find you, and yeah, we'll head off.
Yeah, linkify.io. I'm active on LinkedIn, Christopher Panteli, X as well, linkify_. Yeah, happy to talk to anyone. Thanks for
Cool.
having me on, Eric.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chris. Take
Cheers,
care.
buddy.